I'm Dr. Jeff Jarvis and I feel like a dork. Why do I look like a dork? Why am I wearing this stupid Ninja Turtle helmet? Well, it's because I can't walk down the street without tripping over myself. I was walking down the street, minding my own business, of course, and Dr. Cornelius unfortunately saw me trip over myself and she said, "You are such a dork, you're gonna be a menace to yourself, you need to wear a helmet." So that advice was going through the back of my head. I walked into the studio, I see this cool Ninja Turtle helmet. I just got to try it on. It turns out that it is pretty cool, but it's hot, so I'm gonna take it off. Now you may be wondering what this has to do with this video. It turns out not a thing. I just thought it was a cool helmet. Let's talk STEMI, shall we? So STEMI, as you know, is ST segment elevation myocardial infarction. It is caused by an acute occlusion of a coronary artery. When that artery occludes, blood supply cannot get downstream to the myocardial tissue and it begins to die. The more tissue death, the less functional the heart. That is bad. It also increases the likelihood of arrhythmias, VFib, VTAC, bad. We want to avoid those things. So the way to avoid them is get that artery open as soon as possible. So the key treatments involved with STEMI care are identification and diagnosis. So we got to find out, get a good history, get that 12-lead ECG, because the 12-lead ECG changes the treatment that we're going to do. And then we also need to get them aspirin, get the cath lab activated, and get to the hospital as soon as possible. So that thing about the 12-lead being a test, let's go back to that. One of the first things I learned in medical school is thou shalt not order a test if it doesn't have the ability to change what you're going to do. Because if you're going to do the same thing no matter what the results of the test, that is an unnecessary test. It's an unnecessary expense. It can have false positives. It can slow things down. So there are downsides to doing unnecessary tests. Why am I talking about this? Well, I said that 12-lead ECG, as soon as you can get it on patients in the field with chest pain, is important. That's absolutely true, but now we're going to change the scenario a bit, and you're on an emergency transfer to a freestanding emergency department for a patient with chest pain that the ER doctor has already diagnosed with a STEMI. 12-lead in hand, that's a STEMI. He has given them aspirin, done the other stuff he needs to do. He's contacted a cardiologist who is sitting on the edge of his seat waiting for your patient. The whole idea is we need to minimize the time from diagnosis to getting that artery open so the patient does better. Our role in this is to minimize anything and everything that slows that access to the cath lab down. An example would be, say, doing an unnecessary test, like a 12-lead ECG. You can probably figure out why I'm doing this video right now. When we respond to an emergent transfer for a STEMI, the patient has already been diagnosed. Please do not do an unnecessary test, the 12-lead ECG, before transferring that patient. Don't do it. It's not going to change what you're going to do. It's not like you're going to cancel the STEMI alert or talk the patient into not going to the hospital, right? You'd never do that, right? The patient has already been diagnosed. This is easy. Hit the great big red easy button. Go to the hospital as quickly as possible. As a matter of fact, I want us off scene in under 10 minutes. That can be a challenge, but I know we're up to it, particularly if we don't do unnecessary things. So, Nice Jeff is saying, please, please, please do not repeat a 12-lead ECG in a patient from a facility that is already diagnosed a STEMI before you get en route. Once you're en route, you've done all the things that you need to do. Get as many ECGs as you want. You might see some dynamic changes that can give the cardiologist additional information, but those changes are not worth slowing down your on-scene time, because what you're ultimately going to do is get them to the cath lab. Doing another 12-lead isn't going to change that. So that's Nice Jeff. Mean Jeff is going to say, I do not ever want to hear of a crew repeating a 12-lead ECG in a patient who already has a diagnosis. If this is a STEMI transfer, don't do another ECG. It's easy. Guys, thank you all very much. Please, please, please watch your steps out there, because y'all don't want to have to wear the Leonardo helmet, as fashionable as it is. Thanks a lot and take care.